The Indian Navy Day, as all of you know, is celebrated on 4th of December every year to commemorate one of its greatest triumph in war, the attack on the Karachi harbour during the 1971 war. And for some years now, the Navy Day is celebrated outside Delhi to spread the word about Navy's work, to let other people outside Delhi know about what the Navy does and also make them involved. And that practice has now caught on. So this year, the Navy Day is going to be in Odisha on the beach at Puri. But before the Navy Day starts, on eve of Navy Day, I am privileged to have with me the Indian Navy Chief, Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi, who has now spent about 7 months in office after taking over in April earlier this year. And of course, as happens with every chief, is busy trying to modernize the Navy, get new concepts coming in, and also make sure that India's coastline and India's maritime interests are secured. So let's ask him what are his plans for the Navy in keeping with the vision that India has for itself for the next 25 years or so. So welcome to this program, Admiral, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And let me wish you happy Navy Day in advance.
Thank you. To you also.
Thank you. So, you know, the most obvious question is where does the Indian Navy see itself in the next, let's say, 5 years, and what are your plans for its capabilities to be enhanced?
So we are a growing service. Every year we add platforms. We are right now today 129 platform, surface platform. That means ships and submarines in service. While the numbers may not have grown to the desired level, but the tonnage of ships and the age of ships has certainly grown. So we are a more modern, more capable, more combat capable Navy. And this trend is likely to continue in the next 5 years. We have a host of ships which are on the line for delivery, followed by commissioning, very powerful ships. And I expect that in the next 12 months, on an average, we are going to commission one ship or a submarine every month.
Oh, that's fantastic rate.
And if we continue this trend, we have got 63 ships and submarines presently being under construction in the Indian shipyards. Of course, 2 ships we have got in Russia.
That's right.
Which we'll get shortly.
Sure.
And if this trend continues in the next 5 years, we hope to become a 160 ship Navy or so, because some of the older ships will also get out.
Certainly. But I mean, keeping with the strength of the Indian Navy, it's clearly, you know, the need for more and more combat effectiveness is sort of felt everywhere, because India's maritime interests, India's own national security interests are growing. So in that respect, like you mentioned, many of the ships are modern. But what is the underlying theme that you have? Because the Prime Minister's vision about SAGAR, security and growth for all in the region, gives you much more responsibility. So have you sort of rejigged some of it, tweaked some of the ideas and concepts, doctrines? What is it that you are looking at in the Indian Ocean region?
Absolutely. In April of 2015, when the Honorable Prime Minister first enunciated this vision of SAGAR, since then this has become a guiding mantra for the Indian Navy. And we would like, as the largest Navy in this region, to be able to ensure maritime security, not only for our country, which is very essential.
Right.
As you know that 95% of our trade by volume traverses through the oceans.
Right.
And this trend is not going to ease out anytime soon. But also to ensure that other friendly foreign countries, friendly nations in the region are also provided the requisite help on demand whenever they want. So our aim is to ensure that the Indian Ocean remains safe, secure and stable in the coming years.
Exactly. And I think it's a coincidence that this is the 20th year of the tsunami, when actually the Indian Navy came into its own in December 2004 by being the first responder. And since then it has continued to remain the first responder for every requirement in the region, in the maritime domain, be it HADR, be it disaster relief, be it for humanitarian assistance, everything that you've done that. In that sense, has your cooperation, has the Navy's reach, because of its ties with other friendly navies, sort of increased in this region beyond the Indian Ocean region?
Yes, as you rightly said, that tsunami was a seminal event in the tackling the challenges which are beyond the conventional and non-conventional in
Right.
that sense. So this was something which was a natural disaster of epic proportions. This is the first time many of us have heard the word tsunami
Exactly.
in the country.
That's right.
And dare I say that the Indian Navy under the then leadership really came out and we performed really well, not only in our country providing succor to our own countrymen, but also to many of the other nations in this region. Since then, we have laid great emphasis on the preparation for responding to unexpected as against reacting.
Okay.
So we have got a structure, we have got a method by which some of our units are always ready to respond to natural calamities, whether it is in the form of at sea or ashore. Typhoon sitting somewhere. Recently, we provided help to two of our friendly foreign countries. One is Tanzania, another in Myanmar, and we have got, I would say, a fully functional structure by which we address this challenge of natural calamities and providing the HADR to the partner nations.
That is one aspect of it. Also, if one now looks at the trajectory since 2004, the number of exercises, both bilateral and multilateral, between Indian Navy and other nations has also increased. Does that provide you a lot of visibility into how other navies function? What are the requirements at sea? Also, some good practices to be imbibed into the Indian Navy. Has that helped over these last 20 years?
Indeed, more than the visibility, because Indian Navy is now a professional force of repute, respected the world over, and we carry out a host of bilateral and multilateral exercises. Every Navy wants to engage with us. We certainly learn a lot. We take great pride as an organization to be a learning organization by which we want to keep our minds open and see who is doing what better in which domain, and then try and imbibe those facets in our concept of operations. So by doing these engagements with many of our partner nations and friendly navies, we have certainly learned, and we have learned to operate together. We have learned to make sure that our own structures become better, and I have no doubt that most of these navies have learned from us, from what we do better. So it's a win-win situation, and the cooperation and collaboration is the only way to go forward, because no single navy in the world can address all the maritime security challenges in these vast oceans of today. And even if you talk Indo-Pacific, no single navy can address the challenge.
You mentioned Indo-Pacific, absolutely on the queue, as it were, and I was going to ask you that only, that India's ambitions have also grown over these last 10-15 years, that India is now a vital part of the Indo-Pacific, if you just look at the Quad countries in that sense. Of course, the focus remains on the Indian Ocean, but increasingly Indo-Pacific is also now the center of gravity in the world order in that sense. So, how are you preparing the Navy for long-haul operations or long-haul even passage exercises with other navies, going right up to the western shores of Japan or United States? Is that a challenge, or is that something that you've been able to manage as far as the naval combat effectiveness is concerned?
So as I said earlier to you, Nitin, that we have acquired now platforms which have got long sea legs, which have got sustenance, which have got reach, and more importantly, we have got now the structures, the op logistics structures to support them wherever they are. Interestingly, you would have monitored that in July of this year, whilst one of our ships from the Eastern Naval Command was at Hawaii taking part in the Rim of the Pacific exercise.
Yes.
Another ship of the Western Naval Command was in St. Petersburg taking part in the Russian Federation Navy Day.
Yes.
And that exemplified the reach, sustenance and our ability to talk to different partners across the globe. So from the Eastern Pacific to the Atlantic and anything in between, there was a presence of ships. Of course, aircrafts also have gone and taken part in all kinds of exercises.
Right.
We had a submarine which went to Fremantle
in Australia
last year.
Yes.
And therefore, sending platforms to anywhere where the oceans connect is not a problem now for the Indian Navy. And we can certainly go and take part in these exercises. You would remember last year the Malabar, last year 23.
Right.
Malabar happened off Sydney and we sent
Exactly.
2 ships and an aircraft
That's right.
to take part in that.
No, you're right, absolutely. And in fact, that shows how the Navy has been able to keep up with the nation's ambition in that sense, because India is also now a well respected and well in demand nation as far as the Indo-Pacific is concerned. So you're right absolutely about that. But in doing so, there must be a couple of things that you must be looking at. One is, of course, the modernization has to keep pace. The kind of the equipment that you have to have on board your ships and your platforms. Is indigenization, which is now the stress of the government and of the armed forces, is it helping? Is it going to be something that you're going to stress upon more and more going forward?
Absolutely. I think that is no more a wish list. It's a strategic necessity for the country that we have to become Atmanirbhar. As the recent events in the last 2 years which have shown because of the supply disruptions.
That's right.
We felt the need for us that we need to be self-reliant and Atmanirbhar. And we have certainly taken this pledge that by 2047 we will be fully Atmanirbhar Navy. Towards that, large number of efforts are being done under various lines of effort. In that we have commissioned, of course, an organization which looks after innovation and indigenization.
Right.
These are two different things.
Sure.
And we conducted the 3rd edition of the Swavlamban seminar.
You did, yes.
which kind of coalesces the entire country's indigenous minds, the technological startups, the MSMEs, the DPSUs, PSUs. And this year, I'm glad to report that a large number of these organizations and these partners came in and took part in Swavlamban. What we have also done is that we felt that many of these young people, young startups, bright minds who have little knowledge of organizational structure of armed forces, and therefore while they may have the technology, but they don't know how to approach and to whom.
Right.
So what we have done is we have commissioned 2 task forces under 2 rear admirals.
Okay.
Whose job is to go out to the industry, meet these startups, MSMEs, and including the DPSUs, PSUs, and see what technology they have got, niche technologies, which could be utilized by us, which we require to either upgrade our capabilities or fill the gaps in our combat readiness. So that is something which is work in progress. It is just only about 5 months. I see that in next 6-7 months, that is, I've given them a time of 1 year that we must induct certain technologies in our Navy. And as we go forward, this will certainly help us in larger innovation and indigenization.
That's true. In fact, there is a lot of talent, but as you said, putting them together, giving them the opportunities is something that you're doing, which is commendable. One of the things that Navy has always been known for is to be the leader in indigenization right from the beginning, maybe for 50 years now. In that sense, new and deep technologies like the requirement for underwater domain awareness, underwater platforms to be ready for combat or for surveillance. In that respect, what's the progress there?
Yeah, so underwater has always been a challenge, not only for us, but the entire, I think, globe. All the navies have struggled with underwater domain because of the hydrology, because of the temperature, because of salinity, and the ability to detect an object which is underwater has been a challenge, unlike air or surface.
Yes.
We are no different. So we are acutely aware of the coming years when a large number of platforms which are going to be inducted by various nations who are going to be operating underwater.
Yes.
And therefore, there are a large number of projects which are undergoing. Some of them are in classified domain, but aim is to have the capability within the Navy,
Right.
both in terms of manned and unmanned, both manned
That's right.
and unmanned,
Manned and unmanned. Yeah.
so that we have at any point of time adequate awareness about underwater domain, and that is a work in progress.
Sure.
We are going full steam ahead, and aim is to get as much as help as possible from the our own indigenous sector.
That's wonderful to know, and I think there are enough talented people. It's all that they need is hand-holding and perhaps then validation as you go forward. But let me turn to a little bit of geopolitics, because like you said, disruptions have happened everywhere. Red Sea attacks, Houthis have done this, and a lot of shipping gets affected earlier. But Indian Navy has proved itself to be a security provider in that sense in the Gulf of Aden earlier in the previous decade. And now, of course, it is called upon to escort Indian ships or even other ships. In that respect, the cooperation, like you mentioned earlier in one of the answers, that with other navies is increasing. Now Indian Navy has an officer in one of the Central Command in Bahrain,
Yes.
the Navy thing.
Yes.
How has the IFC IOR helped the center that is here in Gurgaon? How has that helped Indian Navy, and what are your plans for making sure that the Indian trade on seas is protected?
I think the establishment of IFC IOR Gurgaon was a masterstroke. It was a visionary step taken by our leadership. What we have done there is that we have made now structures by which we have got collaboration with many of the navies, many of the maritime agencies, through which we are now exchanging the white shipping information.
Okay.
Now, white shipping information, it's huge in the Indian Ocean region and anywhere else. So, if we know the presence of the white shipping, then what is left is only the dark shipping.
Right.
And then it becomes much easier for us to know that this is not something which is to be worried about, because we know the last port of call, we know next port of call, we know who is the captain, who is which is the agency, what kind of what kind of equipment
Cargo
or cargo
carrying,
etc. it is
whatever they're
carrying.
carrying, yeah.
So there is some kind of transparency in that aspect. As far as the dark shipping is concerned, that is where we require the surveillance, the maritime surveillance,
That's
whether it is in terms of the satellite surveillance, in terms of the manned aircraft surveillance, in terms of unmanned aircraft surveillance, the inputs from the ships which are in that area, or inputs from some of the friendly foreign countries, as the case may be. In all these domains, we are making progress. You will be happy to know that recently the government has very kindly cleared the SBS3 program, which will provide us in the years to come the satellite surveillance part of in a major way at sea. And because at sea it is totally different ball game.
Correct.
You could detect a contact today, but tomorrow you may not find him there.
Suddenly vanished.
Vanished there. So it is a different challenge which is there in the maritime domain. We have got the fixed wing part of maritime surveillance, but they have got, of course, limited endurance and limited range. We will be now getting in another few years the predator drones, which will have larger sea legs and larger presence, and therefore the unmanned part will be taken care of. I have no doubt that we are our own indigenous capability will also grow in the coming years, and we will certainly require more of them, and we will get from indigenous sources.
Sure.
And Nikhil, I just wanted to tell you that the next 5 years are going to be, in my personal view, what I have seen in the our the enthusiasm, the josh, the ability to do something for the country in a lot of youngsters. They are likely to be the breakthrough years as far as the innovation and indigenization is concerned.
In the technology that is required.
Technology which is required, and they are just bubbling with enthusiasm to do something.
Sure.
So you very rightly you said they need hand holding,
Right.
and we in the Navy are providing that by going out to them.
Sure.
Instead of them struggling to come to
so
us.
that's a very good initiative, and I think that is something that has changed over the last 5-7 years. But one of the other challenges in this region, if you just take east of, west of Malacca Straits, going right up to the shores of Africa, China is a major challenge. It happens, and US also wants India to sort of be the main security provider here. In that sense, how do you see just the challenge of many navies present in this area, not just the Chinese Navy, which is of course a threat that everyone wants to look at very closely. But when so many navies are here, what is it that makes it unique for Indian Navy?
So this is not something new to the Indian Navy. If I go back almost 23 years, I think after the 9/11, that is when the large number of extra navies came in here as part of the global war on terror. Extra regional navies came in. And at one point of time, there used to be almost 100 plus, 120 plus warships of different navies. We have now come down significantly less, almost half of that.
Sure.
But that keeps varying. So this is not something which is new to us. We are fully aware of presence of large extra regional navies. Some of them tell us, some of them who can't tell us, we do find out exactly who is operating where. So as far as the extra regional navy's presence here is not a problem for us, because we have got the ability to find out who is where and doing what.
Right.
And the PLA Navy is no different, because anything which is moving on the surface is liable to be detected. Correct. So we know generally who is where and doing what, including their research ships, including their satellite tracking ships, etc. So maritime domain awareness on surface is, I think I would say we are quite good.
Right. And looking at the way the foundational agreements have been done with the US by India over the last 6-7 years,
Yeah.
How has that helped or will help the Indian Navy going forward? Because the foundational agreements were meant to help both the navies, not just the US Navy. Have you found anything useful there?
I think so. Your answer is in your question. We have certainly gained. That's why these foundational agreements were signed after a lot of thought.
Right.
And we have certainly gained from them. For example, the use of each other's logistic facilities. I think it has been in use for some years now. There are many things which are still being discussed and deliberated. So the foundational agreements were the bedrock on which any future bilateral relationships can be built, including in the classified domain.
Right.
And that obviously is classified. So
obviously, no, it goes forward going that way. But one of the things that also has happened over the past decade or more is India is getting more and more, I won't say permanent bases, but turnaround facilities, OTRs in different countries in the Indian Ocean region at least. How have those helped in, say, Dukum or in other places? Have they been helpful?
Extremely helpful, because our ships can pull in and do the requisite turnaround, take on requisite fuel, rations, etc.
Right.
And there is no limit for us to that you have to move out in 1 day, 2 days, berth is not available,
Right.
etc. So certainly it has helped our sustenance, reach, and the ability to replenish.
Correct.
So that part certainly is a big win for us.
So, two other points emanating from there. One is, of course, the manpower required for it, skilled manpower. You require more and more people both in the officer cadre as well as in the subordinate cadre, who are technologically savvy, they are keeping with the times. How has that panned out as far as Navy is concerned? You're getting adequate quality manpower, or you're still searching for them in some domains really?
So quality is not a problem, Nitin, because there are large number of people who are very smart, who are now graduating, who are from various schools, colleges, and therefore quality is not a problem. Even now, the kind of Agniveers sailors which we are getting, they are smart, they are more aware of what is happening, more technologically savvy, and quick on uptake.
Right.
So my experience for last 2-3 years has been that quality wise there is no problem. We are a growing Navy,
Yes.
and therefore as the numbers and platforms grow, we will certainly require more manpower to man those platforms.
Yeah,
And that is a challenge, because sometimes we always lag behind the platform
Sure.
when the manpower comes. But we have been managing so far, and there is no reason to believe that we will not be able to manage in
I'm
future.
sure you have plans to get
Yes.
them together in one synchronized way to utilize both.
Absolutely.
Do that. One final question on integration, theaterization, jointness, whatever you want to call it. The Navy, of course, has its role. It's very well defined. It can't be anything else on the land, really. But you also helped on the land, as we know, during the China crisis. Where is that going? I mean, as one of the 3 chiefs, obviously you're discussing all that with the CDS.
So this issue has been in discussion since September in a fresh manner, because the CDS took over in September of 22.
Right.
And for almost 22 months, the CDS and the three chiefs discussed this, and they came to certain conclusion. They came to certain understanding. Some of the issues which were not yet discussed, or where they could not come to on same page, those are being discussed right now. And as far as that is concerned, that is purely the responsibility of the CDS and the DMA, so that part is happening.
Right.
More important is the jointness and integration.
Correct.
And that is where I think all the 3 services are proactively going out of way to ensure that how do we first of all ensure that the resources are utilized effectively. How do we ensure that we for example have joint training. How do we ensure that, suppose we have joint MROs created for maintenance of
Sure.
various arms and platforms and arms. So that process is on.
Right.
And that is where I think we are putting more focus as far as the service levels is concerned. And parallelly the theaterization part is
other processes on.
progress.
The government has to take a call on finally, sort of when to roll them out as it goes forward. And of course, the Navy has a role, as I said, growing role going forward. So I wish you all the best for the the Navy Day, as well as what you're doing for the country and for the Navy personnel overall put together.
Thank you very much, and wish you all the very best.
Pleasure.
And as I always say that Indian Navy is every Indian's Navy.
Absolutely.
So it is your Navy as much as
Exactly.
ours Navy. And I want to assure the countrymen through you and your channel that the Indian Navy will always remain combat ready, capable, cohesive and future ready, to ensure that the national maritime interests are always safeguarded anytime, anywhere, anyhow.
Good to know that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.